Okay, next up, Elenium Automotive is a Melbourne startup working on a tech solution to improve passenger flow in airports. While 2020 hasn't been the best year, the company's touchless self-service tech is just what the airline industry needs as people return to the skies. The company has just signed a deal to make Avalon Airport Australia's first touchless check-in. CEO and co-founder Aaron Hornlimann joins us now via Skype to tell us how it works. Hi Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much and good afternoon.
G'day mate. Now tell us, was this a pivot for the business as the pandemic hit, or was the idea of touchless check-in already on your drawing board?
So we were already working on touchless capability for self-service, though the focus was mostly around passengers with accessibility issues. So we didn't want to have people who were in wheelchairs or walkers having to kind of strain themselves and reach a touchscreen. So we were working on making virtual touchscreens, implementing voice recognition, so there was more of a natural interface for people. And then when COVID-19 came along and everyone became fearful of touching common surfaces, we thought it was a great application for that as well.
Sounds like your one business where this perhaps presents an opportunity for this kind of technology. So how exactly do these touchless kiosks work? Is it purely the voice recognition, and is that how you would roll it out to the wider community?
So it's not just kiosks, so it's really any kind of self-service device. So it could be a kiosk, it could be a baggage drop system, it could be a boarding gate outside of the aviation space, it could be information displays like at a shopping centre. The technologies we use are basically what we call gesture recognition or head tracking, so the ability to actually estimate where a person is looking, and they're able to select buttons using their face, as well as voice recognition. And our voice recognition has been developed to work in quite loud environments, so up to 85 decibels of background noise, which is the equivalent of having a tractor drive past and being able to communicate with the device using your voice.
So we're going to have everyone at the airport going, "Hey, Elenium," sort of as they sort of drop my bag off, or what happens?
Yeah, so no, we didn't want to have a keyword. So we wanted to design it so you could basically walk up to it, just talk to it, and you didn't have to say, "Hey, Elenium," or anything like that. Effectively, it'll recognize you using biometrics or by scanning your passport. So you can just hold your passport up into the air like this, and it'll read your passport. And then you can start to converse with it. So you can turn around and say you want to change your seats, or how many bag tags you want. Or if you don't want to use your voice in your own language, like I said, you can also control it like a virtual touchscreen by just looking at the right area on the screen.
And Aaron, will Avalon be the first major rollout of this technology? And were you deliberately targeting predominantly, I guess, domestic airports?
So Avalon Airport will be our first rollout of this capability in Australia. So we're very excited about that, and they're definitely quite a forward-leaning airport, thinking about what's the passenger experience going to be like for them, especially trying to encourage passengers to come back and come into environments that they might be concerned about during COVID or post-COVID. Globally, though, we have the technology in Abu Dhabi. We also have started deploying it into a whole range of other applications outside of airports. So we have it in medical centers in the US, we have it in military bases, we have it in a whole range of different places where, again, they want to make their self-service touch points touchless.
Dan, correctly, Aaron, this also has the capability to be able to scan vital signs and sort of tell us whether someone's got a bit of a temperature or some other stuff is going on. That's going to be pretty sort of major, isn't it?
Yeah, so the scanning technology has the capability to read temperature, but it's also heart rate and respiratory rate. We currently have that deployed internationally. We're currently going through the regulatory approvals here in Australia to use that. But effectively, we're able to pick up elevated vital signs. So does somebody have a temperature? Does somebody have a heart rate that isn't within the expected range? And same for respiratory rate. And then based on that, I guess a risk profile can be developed on that individual, and whether that person needs to have a secondary screening. So do they need to go and have a COVID test, or do they need to go and talk to a medical professional?
Well, I'm also conscious of the fact that airports are a high security area, and if you've got an elevated heartbeat, there could be something else going on. Is sort of authorities talking to you about that sort of thing?
Interestingly, in the United States, yes, we've had a few people reach out to us around trafficking and around other things, being able to look at people's vital signs and seeing whether they're fit to fly, whether it's from a health perspective or any other type of reason.
Aaron, now I understand that you're also looking for Series B funding at the moment. Is that right? And who are you hoping to work with, and how much are you looking to raise?
Yeah, so Elenium's currently looking to raise $30 million Australian in part of its Series B. We do have a cornerstone investor that is coming in that we haven't yet announced, but hopefully we'll be able to do shortly. But really what we're looking to do is raise capital for our growth. We're doing a lot internationally, as you can imagine, so we're wanting to make sure that we can, I guess, fund that growth profile.
Well, given you've got some pretty major airlines involved in the company as well, including Qantas, would I be wrong to suggest that there might be an airline involved in backing you?
No, at this point we haven't had an airline back us yet, but to be honest, the reason being is we're trying to make sure that we're relatively independent because we do have multiple airlines that are our customers, that we are looking for strategic investors can help take our technology not just into the airport space but outside of the aviation space. We think it's got quite broad application, and we also want to make sure that we diversify our business. Clearly, you know, what has happened with COVID shows that you can't necessarily have all your eggs in one particular industry.
From a business model view, can I ask, does the airline pay for this as part of their infrastructure at the airport, or does the airport itself sort of install all this technology?
It depends on how it's being deployed. So quite often it is the airport that provides it, especially when it's in a common use environment. So that's when multiple airlines share the same infrastructure. Then it's often the investment comes from the airport, and the airline will pay a use charge. In the case when it's a dedicated terminal, then the airport is the airline is the customer. So it really depends on how it's deployed. Typically, domestic airlines, they put their own infrastructure in, and the international terminals where it's shared.
Context, do you charge a flat fee, or is it per customer, or how does the business model work for you?
For us, there's really two parts. There's usually a capital requirement around the physical hardware, and then from a software and services point of view, it's more a software as a service model. So that can either be a per passenger charge, or it can be a monthly charge.
And have you had much discussion or interest from a state or the federal government here at home in terms of how they could apply this technology?
So we've been talking to a number of governments, both domestically and internationally, both for how to use this technology to help encourage the return to aviation travel at the airport, but also how it can be used in I guess, the broader society around helping to protect and build confidence around access into buildings, access into facilities, offices, those type of things.
So off the back of this capital raise, Aaron, what's the plans for Elenium in the longer term? I mean, you're already a global business, but where to next?
So really, it really is about making sure we get to supercharge our growth profile. So again, we're building our team internationally and making sure we can deal with that. But also, we are looking toward an IPO, whether that's next calendar year or the calendar year after. We're still looking at that. But essentially, we want to make sure that we're a strong business, one that's delivering to our customers as well as our shareholders, and see where we can go from there.
And Aaron, where do you see the company then in 5 years in terms of the growth potential of the product? Is this something that we could really see in airports all over the world?
I think our touchless capability really can be airports everywhere, but also, like I said, in everyday life outside of airports. So I think the applicability is really quite broad. It's quite amazing. After we made the announcements with Etihad of our trials there, in the 2 weeks after that, we had more sales inquiries than we had in the entire life of the company. And to put in perspective, right now we're in 15 airports that have more than 250 million passengers going through those airports every year. So to have that amount of demand come our way during this kind of unprecedented crisis during COVID for a company that was focused on aviation has been quite phenomenal.
Epic effort and just job all around. Look, congrats on this deal with Avalon. It'll be fascinating. I look forward to flying down to Geelong and the City of Dreams to sort of see what the experience is like, but really appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.